Alright guys, today I wanted to take a look at something I added into my game room. I'm a really big fan of having like touchscreen things around the house for when parties are over on top of arcades. So you guys know, if we take a look over here, I have my Mega Touch over here now that got moved over. My Mega Touch, I love this thing. And then my JVL. So I've done videos on both of these already. These were both like machines that used to be in bars and stuff. As you can see, it has the corn acceptors and stuff that all work on here. And there's like over 150 games on each of these. They were designed to be at the bar, designed for people to have tournaments and stuff and play and stuff like that. And these are fantastic to have. Obviously, they're expensive, unfortunately, nowadays to get. But if you can get your hands on one of these, and even the older ones, like this is a newer one with the 2014, the latest update. But even if you can get the older ones with some of the older games, these are fantastic devices. They're a lot of fun. People can play them very easily when they come over, and it's just a fun time to have. So what I wanted to do is, there's another system that's out there that used to be in the Windows XP era that was called Aladdin. And Aladdin was basically, featured a lot of different touchscreen games as well, as you guys are looking at here. And there was somebody out there that was actually doing this. Like, I knew about it, but I didn't want to go through the setup and stuff. GameCase Arcades, Vic_VP, I reached out to him, and he actually had a system in place on where he would either send you a computer pre-configured and ready to go, or he would send you a, pre-configured hard drive, and you would supply your own touchscreen PC if you already had one. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. I started looking at it. There's over 400 games just in the, all the trivia games here that you see on the bottom, all the different categories. There's over 400 games on just the trivia section and the all the way up to the PopCap section, not including the Bluestacks Android emulator that we'll get more into detail here in a little bit, and the pinball. But there's over 400 touchscreen games on here, and they're all different from what Mega Touch and JVL offered over there, because they're just not, they're different. They're different systems and stuff. This is the Aladdin SFE that had touchscreen games back then on the Windows XP era. So I was excited to add this because they're different games. So it's basically I got 400 new touchscreen games when people are over. Slot machine, word games, trivia games, stuff like that. So now I have 3 areas on where people can play touchscreen games. I got this nice 24-inch over here. We got the nice Mega Touch over there. I believe that's a 19-inch, and then the JVL over there, I believe, is a 22-inch, if I remember correctly. So and there's a lot more that this machine can do, because it's obviously a newer machine. The Mega Touch is running on Linux, and so is the other one, I believe. So that's, you can't add anything to that. This one is a full PC. So not only do I have the 400 plus games that this thing comes with that are pre-configured and ready to go by GameCase Arcades, and some PC games, but you can also add your own PC games if you find ones out there that are touchscreen based, and your GPU that you got with this machine handles it. You can do that, and you can do Android emulation with the Bluestacks that we're going to talk about. So there's an infinite amount of touchscreen gaming that you could do on here when people are over and have a fun time. So I want to dive into this, show you guys a couple of issues that actually came with this, because these games, a lot of them were meant to run on Windows XP, but this is actually running Windows 10. So there's a couple of issues that I ran into with his setup that he is now aware of, and that I'm aware of, that took us a couple days to figure out. So I'll talk to you guys about that, and then I'll give you an overview of all the some of the games that are on here to see if this is something you guys are interested in. Let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, this is my touchscreen computer. This is from GameCase Arcades, as you guys are seeing here, from Vic_VP. The link will be down in the description if you guys want to buy something like this for yourself, but there's a lot to talk about before you guys make that decision. So the first thing that you guys need to know is that there's 2 ways that you can buy this. I chose the cheaper route, in my perspective anyway, because I got the touchscreen computer myself. This is an HP G5 computer, all-in-one touchscreen, so everything is all-in-one. And it's a 24-inch screen, a 24-inch touchscreen. And I just went to GameCase Arcades, and I just got the actual external from them, or the actual files from them, where this is all set up by them, and everything is customized with all the different artwork, as you guys are seeing here. All that takes time to actually do. So all the games were included, all the little snapshot videos that you guys are seeing, all of that was included. There was a good tutorial that he sent me on what he did, to get this all set up and working, and I followed most of that guide, and everything was good from there. But there is the other option that we have to get into that you can also buy from him, which is just getting the whole thing. He will source out a computer for you. You can tell him the price, whether, I think that he's
You'll have to ask them on pricing because it changes depending on the market and stuff, on what computers you can get used and stuff like that. But, you know, basically you can either get the lower end model or higher end model. The higher end the computer, then obviously the more games you can run, you know, at higher spec from the PC section or the Bluestacks section, which we'll talk about here in a few. So that is up to you. That's obviously why I went with my own. I wanted to get a little bit higher spec because I knew I wanted to run some PC games and some Bluestack games on here as well in the touchscreen format. So that's why, you know, I decided to just get the external with the files on there and then just follow his tutorial and then get the computer myself. Something we do need to talk about though, and that's why I have the keyboard here. Usually when I play with this thing, there is no keyboard needed. Usually it's just a touchscreen. It starts up when the computer starts up, and most of the time there's no keyboard needed. But I do have my mouse and keyboard here as backup, and I'm going to hit the escape key on here for a minute. And actually, all of these icons got created when I installed Bluestacks for testing, so we can just actually remove all these. But one of the issues that I ran into when I got this computer is that the actual application that this uses is using, obviously, if you guys are familiar with touchscreen applications, it's using SFE or the Aladdin touchscreen interface. If you guys look into here, and I go into the touchscreen app here, you can see it's the Simple Touch FE, you know, Aladdin interface that it uses, and then customizes all the games, runs through, makes sure everything works, all that kind of stuff. When I first got, you know, Simple Touch and I got this open and stuff, and I went to go over here and open STFE and wanted to open up the emulator here, this wouldn't actually open. As you guys are seeing here, now it opens. And when I went into the config file with FE config here, this wouldn't open either. Like, this wouldn't launch. This is where all the games are customized with everything you need. You can add more games onto here, stuff like that. And this wouldn't launch. It would give an error when it launched. And it was basically, at the end of the day, complaining about Flash. And we all know, if you guys are keeping up with computers and stuff, that Flash actually got removed from Microsoft, you know, this year. It actually got officially removed. Like, it actually installed a force patch, basically, that immediately gets installed in your machine once Windows updates runs. So when I got this machine and I hooked it up to the internet, as soon as I connected to Wi-Fi, it immediately downloaded that patch. And that patch is forcefully installed and it removes Flash. And this application still relies on Flash to actually work. So, or at least this version did. So, that obviously messed things up. I wasn't able to, you know, run the program because Flash was, you know, obviously disabled. He wasn't aware of that because if the patch was never installed on your machine, then you're not going to run into any issues. And the machine he was testing this on, you know, when this first came out a year or two ago, when he first launched this thing and started talking about it, you know, Flash was not forcibly being removed. You know, you could install the patch if you wanted to, and it was an optional update. But I think it was July of this year when it actually became a forcefully downloaded update. And you can't even uninstall it. When you go to the control panel and you go in there, you can't uninstall it. So I was kind of screwed there. And since I just got the machine, I couldn't even go back and use System Restore because System Restore wasn't activated yet. So I couldn't use System Restore to go back and remove it either. So I literally had to do a clean wipe of Windows 10. Because as you can see, this is using Windows 10. So basically what I had to do is I created a media disk on Windows 10, and I used their 1909 update. Their 1909 update does not forcefully have the Flash already integrated into that update. So I downloaded the Windows 10 installation media disk with 1909, have 1909 on this machine now, and as soon as this thing launched, or I logged into Windows, I did not connect to Wi-Fi, so Windows updates wouldn't run. So I completely wiped the machine, installed the 1909 version of Windows, and then immediately came onto here and went into a couple of things. So the first thing is I went into services. So when you type in services, and it pulls up all the services on your machine. And you can see here when I had this open here for the Windows update, you can see that Windows Update is currently disabled, so I don't have it running. So when you right-click and hit Properties, you can disable it from running, and I have this stopped and then have that disabled, so I don't have that working at all. And the reason I want to disable this, you know, because obviously you could just never connect to the internet once you install 1909, and you'd also be fine, but there are certain applications that you need to install that he runs through his installation guide, like Net Framework and, you know, a couple of applications that you need that you're going to need internet for to make things easier. So I basically disabled Windows Update from running at all, like I did here, and then connected to the internet. And then after I connected to the internet, I went through his setup guide. And then obviously now I usually don't connect to the internet at all. for the most part, unless if I have a party over, because sometimes you want internet for Bluestacks, which is an Android emulator, which we're going to get into. And some of those Android games, of course, you need internet to actually make them useful. So that's another reason why you would want to have Windows Update disabled. If not, you won't be able to run any of the BlueStack Android games either. So, but you could, if you don't want to run Android emulator and you don't care about that sort of stuff on here, and you just want to run all the Aladdin games and stuff like that instead, then just don't connect to the internet after, you run the patches and stuff that I just did, and then you'll be fine also. So after that controversy, because that took me a while to figure out what was going on, once we got that figured out, and I let him know, of course, now we have a good basis of what future people can do if they get this machine and they're anticipating getting Windows 10. Now you guys have an idea of what you need to do and what patch you need to look out for not installing, because or else it will mess all of this up. So once that patch was removed and I got that all sorted, then as you guys can see, now this thing opens and now we're kind of good to go. So let's give you guys an overview of what you guys can expect from the system now that we have an idea of, what you need to do to set it up, having Windows Update 1909, disabling Windows Update, letting the internet run to follow his guide and stuff, and don't let that Flash Player update install. If it does, you're going to have to wipe the whole computer and start over. But here we are here now at the main interface. Of course, this is all touchscreen. You can see he has everything organized here with the actual labels, which I really, really like. So this is where all the time comes that he actually set this up. Because, of course, you can do this yourself, but it's going to take you time. So you're paying for his work here of organizing everything into categories, making sure the games work and testing them, and putting all the little artwork and the little videos that are showing on all of these. All that takes time and stuff. And it was, once I got that Flash thing out of there, it was pretty fair game after that. So you can see here, as you guys can see, there's a bunch of different games in a bunch of different categories. So you can see the first one is trivia. So you can see here, you can kind of just scroll over, and that will give you a whole section of other categories. You can see, believe it or not, you can see all of these are, a bunch of different ones that you can actually play here for trivia. So you can see there's a pretty good selection of these on here. Obviously, some categories have more than others. But there's a good variety of trivia games on here. I don't think it's anything you're going to run out anytime soon. You can see there's, ones for Family Guy. There's ones for, a bunch of different categories. There's, ones for sports fans. There's just a lot in here for trivia fans all around. So as for example, if I were to play one of these, let's go ahead and try one of these out here. Let's see what we got. So you can see here at the bottom here, there's one called the Ultimate Movie Quiz and the Ultimate Sports Quiz one. So let's go ahead and try the Ultimate Movie Quiz. So I'm going to try to show you guys one game from every category, so at least you guys get an idea. So you can see how that opens there. You can see this is launching here. You can select the category here, as you can see here. And I'm really bad at trivia, so don't expect me to know any of these. Find 8 associations with the film Castaway. And then it gives you a bunch of different categories on here. I literally have no goddamn idea. Who composed the music for the 1995 film Seven?
Oh dear.
Yeah, I like I said,
Good.
I'm pretty bad at trivia. Who played the character of Lieutenant Colonel Alston Travis in the 1996 film Executive Decision? There you go. I literally have no idea. But yeah, you can see here how the trivia games work.
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Looks like we got a UFO thing happening over here for some reason on this game. Oh, it's because we got a game over, so you can see we lost. So it goes back to the main menu. Now you can click on here and go back to return to main menu. Some of the games will have either an exit button on the corner. Some of them will say return to menu, but obviously one way or another you'll be able to exit back, and it brings you right back to the screen here. So you can see how that works there. Like I said, there's a bunch of different trivia games on here, so some stuff for everybody. Trivia Pursuits on here. Just Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is on here. A bunch of different stuff. So you can see here in the Fun Zone category that we are on here, you can see that this is just an area that he designed that games that kind of didn't fit the rest of them, I guess you can say, that didn't fit trivia or card or word games and stuff. So there's a bunch of different variety of games in here as well that fit the Fun Zone category. You got Boggle there, you got Bejeweled, you got Fruit Ninja on here, Eliminator, Flip It, a bunch of different games on here. A few golf games that you have on here, Monkey Business, Pop, Money Mix It, off your face. You know, a bunch of Pictionaries on here. So you got a bunch of different variety. You got Subway Surfers on here. We're all familiar with Subway Surfers. So yeah, you got those tabs there to be able to play. Let's go ahead and select Fruit Ninja here so you guys can get an idea. So if we click on Fruit Ninja here, it launches Fruit Ninja. And we're all familiar with Fruit Ninja here. We'll just do the classic here. And then here we are playing Fruit Ninja on a nice 24-inch screen. Works really, really well, as you guys are seeing here. But yeah, you guys get the idea. So then you can go ahead and hit quit from there. It will bring you back to the main menu. You can go ahead and swipe quit, and then of course it brings you back to the same interface we were talking about before. On to the next screen here. Again, now we have card games. So we have Solitaire, Magic 2020, you know, a bunch of different variety of Solitaire games on here for the card games. So this one doesn't have as many games as the Trivia and Fun Zone, but there's still some good card games on here, especially for Solitaire. So if I were to click, for example, let's just do the Triple Towers one here really quickly. So you can see this one here. You can just hit play there, and now you're playing Tricky Towers here. So a bunch of different games on here for, like I said, for card games and stuff. You can go ahead and exit this. Moving on to the next category here is, of course, word games. You got a bunch of different word games on here as well, as you guys are seeing here. We got 4-letter words, word search, word up, word wobble. So if we did word search here, you can hit start game. So I guess it gives you like a sentence that you're doing, so be aware of Greek's bearing. And it gives you a blank, and that's kind of helping you find the words here. This is how much you win, depending on how many actual words you find. So that gives you an idea on how that game would work here. Oh, it was telling us right there, that's the word we were looking for there. So you get a game over as soon as you don't find the word in this one on that. But you guys get the idea. So that's word games. And then, of course, we have virtual slots. There's a lot of different slot machines on here. And some of these actually have more than just one slot machine on here, which is really cool. For example, if we click on the Game of Gods one here, there's a lot of different casino games on here and a lot of different slots. That's actually the primary reason why I got this. I wanted to have a touchscreen slot machine and stuff to kind of give the experience of a slot machine over here, which is pretty cool, especially because my grandmother was really big into slots and stuff, and I know she enjoyed this. Some of the games make you enter a name for the first time, which is why a keyboard's around for some of the games. But you can see there's a bunch of different slot machines you can touch, and now I'm playing this one. We can go ahead and just hit the tips and the navigation, so it gives you some tips on how to play. And then you can see here, you could do max bet if you want, and then you go ahead and you're over here playing slots. Some of them look different than others. Some of them take full screen. Some of them are like you're on a virtual slot machine like this one. And then for slot machines, usually you just cash out to exit. So you hit the cash out button, you're back at the main menu. Then there's a little home button down there, and then you hit quit game. So most of them should be pretty self-explanatory on how to exit the games. But like I said, there's a lot of different slots on here, a lot of different varieties. Some of them take up the full screen. Some of them are like the virtual slot machine like you just saw on that one. Some of them are actual casinos that you're going into and playing those casinos. So there's a lot of good variety in here. You won't be bored as far as how much is on here because there's blackjack, Texas Hold'em slot machines, a lot of the stuff in here. Next category here is Big Fish games. So you can see that there's a good variety of games in here. Some of them you'll probably recognize because Big Fish is a pretty popular category. You know, you got things like Catan on here. You got things like Chameleon Gems. You got a lot of you know, story-based games that it's like touch adventure games that are really cool. So these are really, really fun games to play. I think this is the category, if I'm not mistaken, that had like a Titanic one, which I thought was really cool. I think it was in this category. So there's a lot of different ones in here. There it is, Hidden Expedition Titanic. So, you know, you can just click on these, they'll launch, and then you'll be playing these, you know, story adventure type games with the touchscreen, which is pretty fun. So you can see here, you can just hit play. You can go ahead and start in a certain area. So I just go ahead and select a deck. And then here you are playing, you know, this Titanic game, and you're looking for all of these things here. So you're kind of touching them as you find them, and that's how much time you have to be able to find them all and beat the current level. So, you know, there's a lot of different games like that, a lot of like touchscreen like find hidden items and stuff, a lot of like story-based games as well, which is really fun. So a lot of good variety in this category as well. Then you got the PopCap category, another one that a lot of people know. A lot of good variety in this one as well. You know, a lot of different games on here. You know, you got the classic Bejeweled, so let's go ahead and start that up. One of the ones that a lot of people know. You can see here is Bejeweled 3. This one also makes you enter your name the first time, so let's go ahead and hit that. Then you can hit the play button. You can just hit the classic mode, and it tells you how to play and stuff, and then you can just go ahead and hit start game. And here we are playing the classic Bejeweled that we all know. Really fun game. And then obviously you can disable hints if you want to and stuff. If you want to do that. And then of course, again, we can exit really easily, go into the main menu, and then you can just hit quit, hit yes. And again, there's a lot of good variety in here in this PopCap category. There's a lot of good games on here. A lot of the ones, you know, Chictionary is really fun. You know, Boggles here. You know, just a lot of games in this category. Diner Dash, I know a lot of people recognize. You know, Feeding Frenzy. We've got Sudoku on here. You know, I've got a bowling game on here. A lot of good stuff in the PopCat category. Mahjong. You know, there's a ton of games on here. I think without even counting the PC section, everything from the trivia to like PopCap right here, there's like, if I'm remembering correctly, like over 400 games just on those sections alone, without counting, you know, pinball and Bluestacks into that number. So we got some bingo stuff on here. We got some Scrabble. You know, like I said, there's a lot of stuff on here for everyone to dive into and play in this category. Next category over is the PC category. You know, there's not as many PC games, of course, because there's not a lot of PC games that do really well with touchscreen. But there's a Hidden Object one. There's Elf Bowling. There's Angry Birds Space. There's Monopoly. There's the SpongeBob game. There's a couple others on here. There's Siege Saga. There's Queens. There's the Game of Life. There's Risk. There's the Walking Dead franchise. So there's a good variety of games on here. We're not going to open a PC game, but you guys know that they're here. There's not that many on here, but you guys know that you can play these, and these are ones that work really well with the touchscreen. Same thing with this pinball one. We're not going to open this one currently, but pinball works fine on here. It's not something I'd ever use, to be honest, on here. I have pinball machines and stuff. Basically, you just use the side of the screen to touch the flippers when it runs, so you can like tap the right flipper and the left flipper over here, and you have like it playing over here. It's fine. It's cool that it's on here. Just not something that I would use because I have pinball machines already, but it's a nice little addition. If you want to play pinball on a touchscreen, you can kind of just tap the sides and stuff. And the last category here is Bluestacks. Bluestacks is an Android emulator for those of you guys who don't know. It basically makes this touchscreen think that you're running an Android phone. If you guys are familiar with Android phones and Android tablets, that's what this basically does. And what's cool about this is obviously this is a 24-inch screen, and there's not 24-inch Android tablets that really exist that much out there. And this has Google Play integrated and stuff. All your purchases come over. All your stuff like that comes over. So all of these games is me logging into, you know, my actual Google account. And these are the ones that I've downloaded so far on here. And you can download anything from the Google Play Store, and they will work with your account. And the BlueStacks emulator does a great job on here. So these are a lot of fun. So the reason that these are on here is some of these just work really well on a touchscreen. They're just a lot of fun to play. You know, Family Feud and stuff on here is cool. The fact that we have Wheel of Fortune, you know, another Jackbox game on here. We got the new version of How to Be a Millionaire. Some of these let you use controllers if you want to on here. But, you know, Uno's on here, so you can play some Uno on here. There's a couple of other trivia games on here. But it's just a really fun time to have some of these games from Android, and I'll keep adding to this. I haven't downloaded every game that I thought was good on here, but I downloaded, you know, some of these just to see how it would work. But like, for example, the Golden Tee golf game that Android has is awesome, and you can see that it's not launching a full screen, but you can just kind of hit the Android button on there, and then you can go to full screen there. You can see that now it does look full screen, and it's loading into Golden Tee, and this is where a lot of the horsepower for your machine is needed. That initial screen that you guys saw, where it was loading, if you guys didn't actually have a beefy PC and you kind of cheaped out on the PC, then this is going to take a much longer time to load, obviously, when it loads Bluestacks. Like, you can see how fast it loaded for me on the initial screen there. This game, and the touchscreen works fantastic with this. Obviously, works really well. You can go ahead and just play a front. Let's go ahead and just select this real quick. Let's just play hole 1. Just to show you guys how it works. And obviously sometimes because you have Android on here and stuff, like, obviously it's awesome to have certain games on here, but obviously you're going to deal with, like, you know, ads and stuff like that. for some of the games, just like you would. But if you buy the game on your Android phone and you're a person who uses Android phone, to have this on a 24-inch screen and have your purchases and all that transfer over and still be able to play this is just really cool. And now you're playing Golden Tee, the new version, with all the bells and whistles of what they're kind of doing. So you can use 2 fingers here. It shows you that when you first start the game to like move over, and then you can kind of just pull back and swing forward just like that. Really intuitive, really easy. Should have swung that harder. And you can see you're kind of just playing this game, and it's a really, really fun game. Oh, I definitely didn't hit that hard enough again. Not doing that well, but you guys get the idea. So you can see how that worked there, and how you actually, get your hole-in-one stuff. So like having these games on a giant touchscreen is actually really fun, even though they're just Android games. It just adds even more. It basically adds infinite amount of games that you can play on a computer like this, because obviously now you're running an Android emulator, and it works fantastic on here. A lot better than I ever thought it would, to be quite honest with you. Once you double tap up there, you can see exit full screen, and then you're back over here, and then you can kind of just hit this little corner tab up here. It will kind of close out Golden Tee and then bring you back to this interface here to select the next game you want to play. And then when you're done with Bluestacks altogether, you just exit, and then it asks you, do you want to exit? You exit, and then you're back at this original interface. So, like I said, between just the trivia and PopCap games and PC all the way up to here, you basically have over 400 different games that are all from like the Windows XP area that are all touchscreen games like this. They're fantastic and a lot of fun to play. A lot of good trivia games, a lot of good hidden object games, and just a lot of good games in general. And then you get to PC, you have some games in there. And then, of course, the pinball stuff, and then the Bluestacks, which basically makes it an infinite amount of replayability at that point. And like I said, this is what he included. Obviously, if you find games for PC that you want to add yourself, you can obviously very easily just come in here into the config that I showed you guys before. These are organized by areas, so you can see the config 1, config 2. This one, config 10, is Bluestacks. This one, and you'll set this up in this tutorial that he showed you, that he has, when you get this machine. But obviously, this is the PC one because it has the Angry Birds one on here and stuff. You can see that's config 8. You can easily just come in here, add a new game, and as you add the name, you can put the executable where it points to the exe, and that's all you do. And then you add a little piece of artwork or movie if you want to, and that's it. Then it's on the main screen. It's really simple to add games to this. So if you find other PC games that you already own and stuff that work well on touchscreen, really easy to add onto here to the categories that he already pre-made, and has all of this set up for you already. So overall, guys, even though it took me like a few days to figure out that flash issue and we were going crazy for a while, now he knows, and now I know what to look out for. It's fantastic to have this running on here. As I talked about, I'm a really big fan of touchscreen gaming, especially when there's parties over, because everyone can just everyone intuitively, if the interface is done well, everyone can easily figure out how to play these touchscreen games. So when I had my family over, a lot of people were hovering over this one, my Mega Touch and my JVL one, easily, have the touchscreen interface up there. They click on some games, they exit them if they want to play a new game, and it's really easy to show people, and they have a lot of fun playing all these touchscreen games from back in the day, and even some newer ones on Android and stuff. So I'm really, really excited to add this into my setup here. And now that I have this touchscreen computer on here, we have some now different games than what my Mega Touch stuff has, so it kind of makes my touchscreen gaming complete, because I got the Mega Touch, I got the JVL, and I got this one now for all the Aladdin stuff from the Windows XP. So I kind of have all games covered from the touchscreen era of like the bar games from Mega Touch and JVL, and now even Android, and now casino games from the Aladdin and stuff like that we're running on XP. So really, really excited to have this. If you guys have any questions, as usual, guys, leave those questions down below on anything you guys have seen. If not, thank you guys for watching. Until next time.